It's the BC3 Amigos. We are back together again. I cannot believe it. It's April 2025, and we're back together here. And we've been on the road so much this past 30 days, with conferences and everything. We were all together in Las Vegas for the partner conference at Directions North America, and we have learned so much, gang. I'm sorry. This is a great way to tell our viewers, what's going on out in the Business Central community and what's happening with the product. And we took back so much knowledge. We don't even have enough time to talk about it. We could probably talk about it for hours on end because there's way too much. But we figured today, let's all of us, obviously it's springtime. Happy holidays to all that have passed, obviously. But we thought, let's get together. Let's talk about a couple of hot highlights from the Business Central 2025 Wave 1. And we figured we'd go around the horn and we talk about different things that we were in sessions on, we learned on. We figured today, other than saying hello to everybody, we figured we're going to start today off with our number one evangelist, the man in charge there who's matching the flag behind him, Rob Del Prado. He's going to talk about, Rob, what topic did you pick?
So I chose, and you're going to be surprised, it's not really anything in relationship management. Because they are not coming out with anything new in that, I had to find something else to stand on my little soapbox and talk about. And everywhere I turned, the magic word was sustainability. And, here I am deep in the heart of Texas. And, you say, oh, we've got all this oil and gas stuff going on. And who really cares about sustainability? But I can share that it's not just about staying green in the planet. There are other factors out there about why people want to track their sustainability or their carbon footprint or their water or their waste. So with that, everywhere I seemed to turn, there was something about sustainability. And so I'm now going to take up that flag and start running around going, let's be a little bit more cognizant of what we do. It doesn't mean, and here's the thing, it doesn't mean we have to do a better job of everything. Just a little bit better of something makes a difference. And if you're going to do this right, here's something else I learned. If you're going to do this right, that means you are going to start evaluating how you use your resources. And if you evaluate your resources correctly, then eventually it's going to lead to some profit improvement or some reduction in waste along the way, meaning that you are going to be leaner and meaner and a lot more profitable. So that's the first thing I took away, was just doing it is going to help your company in the long run. But the other thing is, as I said, everybody's talking about it. So Microsoft came in and they said, hey, back in the day, when we released our first version of sustainability, it was all about carbon footprint, carbon dioxide tracking. Well, they've now added two other categories, and that's water and waste. So that's huge. We're now going to be able to be even more timely on our reporting and cleaner on our reporting. So we've got that. But the other thing is, Continua stepped forward and said, well, hey, we realize that this is difficult to, implement up front. We're going to add in our own functionality and help users become more, if you will, accepting of the product. So a couple of things I've already stepped into. Already been to a couple of sessions for Microsoft on sustainability. And I've also been in a couple of sessions already from Continua. And they are going to be implementing this alongside Microsoft in the future. So just that alone was like enough to say, hey, things are happening. I can also share this as I said, you don't just have to be doing this to be greener, but I can tell you that here in the South, and we get a bad reputation for not worrying about the evolution and or the environment and things like that. But I have some friends that are working in Louisiana right now for an oil production company, and they've hired consultants to come in here and help them track their carbon footprint. So if my neighbor to the right of me is willing to take a step forward in sustainability, I think we all need to take a look at that. So, my hat's off to everybody who wants to look at that. And Microsoft has also made this, if you start tracking this, they've given you some great new reports that are going to allow you to see the reports in Excel. You'll be able to download them and see your dashboards. And as I mentioned, not only are we now tracking carbon footprints, but we're also tracking water and waste and some other functionality. For those of you who are already using it a little bit and trying to get your grips on reporting requirements, they've also added it so that it automatically posts from journals. Back in the day, and when I say back in the day, like one version ago, when you posted a journal, you actually had to go out and import the data from that journal into a sustainability journal and post that in. Now you have a choice. When you set up and you're posting like your expenses for, let's say, travel, and you're going to say that there was so much carbon footprint from that jet plane, you can actually say on the GL when you're posting the travel expense that, hey, I want this to automatically update my sustainability journals. Or I can say, wait a minute, no, I still want to do it the old-fashioned way. So lots is happening in sustainability. I could keep going on and on and on like I do about relationship management, but I know y'all have something cool to say too.
So Rob, are you telling me that if I put in an expense report or some sort of mechanism where I said I flew from Boston, Massachusetts to Houston, Texas, I took an Uber from my house to the airport, flew from Boston to Houston, took an Uber to the hotel, and then every other thing in between, I can literally track based on those expenses my carbon footprint of how much I consumed.
Absolutely. There are codes out there for each of those different types of travel. And by the way, you would want to know whether or not you're in an Uber that is a electronic or whether it's a taxi that's using diesel fuel, because each one of those has a different carbon footprint. And nowadays, I don't know if you've even looked at your airline tickets when you book them, but you have an option to actually choose which sustainable or which carbon footprint you want on your seat. I guess if you choose the best one, they'll plant a tree for you to offset some of that carbon.
I mean,
yeah, I saw some of it. I did one session. I think Rob was in there as well, and it's pretty amazing what they're getting into.
Yeah, I watched the video. I mean, I watched it when it first came out, when they announced, of course, when the wave came out, and I watched the session, that Alexander did, which was fascinating. Being in America, of course, we're not being bombarded yet with that whole requirements, because a lot of it is the compliance is mostly in Europe versus here in the United States / Canada, I'll call it. But it was fascinating, the fact that I can literally track from the point of, getting the item, how much carbon versus, footprint I have been impacted by me on the road, or how much footprint by me manufacturing my finished good item, or how much it's like, there's so many selling it and shipping it and all these other factors. And I'm sitting here watching him do all this in that little video. And then I know Rob went to the session. He went to that session while I went to another session at the time, saw that was going on. But I'm fascinated with it. I mean, I'm dying to know how many people in the United States or Canada are going to want to start doing this, knowing, and I think Rob mentioned this when we were talking, all three of us together at dinner one night, at how much of it might be brand oriented. I heard about this where you can, figure out how much carbon footprint your brand is imposing on the world today, and maybe it might promote more selling of your product if you have less footprint. But Rob was mentioning that, who was it, a sneaker or something? I think
yeah, it was Alexander's sneaker that he had, and he bought it here in the U.S.
See, this is amazing. I mean, you'd think that people would want to. I mean, again, I know it's the ecological side of things, but I don't know how much it impacts everybody in America, how much we think about it in our head. But it'd be kind of fascinating to know that I made this mouse and how much carbon footprint the mouse incurred or whatever it is, and into the world today. But I assume that over time, the less carbon footprint, the more maybe people might want to buy their product. But fascinating stuff, man. And it's so weird seeing them get into that. But I know that a lot of it came from the regulatory side, but I'm fascinated now that they're getting into that, how much other crazy things they might get into over the next couple of years with various things between ecology and with obviously AI and all the other stuff going on. But were there a lot of people, Rob? I mean, how many people were intrigued by? I mean, you were heavily intrigued by it because obviously you're going to be the evangelist for it now. That because we don't want you to ever talk about relationship management ever again. But how many were you like one of many folks kind of like pushing forward with it?
Well, I'm going to share some shocking thoughts. I thought maybe there were going to be a bunch of people in these meetings just to see what the future holds. I'd rather, I'm not saying I want to be on the bleeding edge, but, I don't want to be a laggard where everybody's ahead of me and I'm behind the curve. But I was surprised. I would say it was only a handful of people in every one of my sessions. I'm also going to give a shout out because I was on a call today with Continia and they had invited people to do this. I was the only one. There were two of us that were not from the presentation. I was shocked that there weren't more people.
Now, so Continia being, of course, expense management, and of course they do Continia Capture to capture the documents and stuff. Are they taking what they do in their within the products within the apps that we deploy? Are they applying this sustainability to the actual transaction processing? Is that how it's coming about?
Absolutely. They are making it much more user friendly, if you will, to capture all this information. They have some stuff that will assist with the setups for the users. So again, because I want to know how this works, I jumped on their call and I was shocked that there weren't more people. So again, these are things that are out there that people should be taking advantage of. You don't know when,
Yeah.
governments change all the time. I mean, one group is in power one time and the next group's, they do something wrong and somebody else takes over. You don't know what regulations are coming down the road. So this is something that, and by the way, I was shocked to find out that this was not something from, Western Europe. It actually came from the UK. UK was actually the ones that started this process, and then it moved into Western Europe. So that shocked me.
I can't see it as an up and coming thing for sure. I'm glad you've taken the reins to learn it early.
Well, what happens if we need to export something and that company requires this?
A very fair thought.
And we can't track it.
That's it. Yeah,
very good thought.
It's so fast. It's a very good thought. I mean, you kind of wonder. We're such an advanced society, technology and everything like that. Yet this is coming from obviously Europe, pretty much, but yet it's not a requirement. I mean, maybe California might make it a requirement, maybe from a state perspective. But why wouldn't you want to know what your carbon footprint is? Especially some of the large manufacturers and in the space today, that are using Business Central. I mean, and obviously report upon it and stuff like that. It's kind of curious. The curiosity is killing me to see if they're doing it inside of their public filings. In the public filing, they might make a statement about carbon footprint, but when it comes to again, not many people do it here. So I'm wondering if it's going to change over time and we're going to get, be pushed year after year to do more and more.
You would think so. And I bet a lot of those companies have some kind of audit done or survey done by a group and they assign something, some random numbers and that's what companies are using. So it's really a big estimate, right? Whereas this is getting a lot more granular. You can document it down to that travel expense that you talked about.
I just don't see how it's not going to come this way at some point. And even if it's not a regulatory requirement, I see the younger generation being more concerned about the planet. We're old dinosaurs and, what happened to us. But they're going to be more cognizant and they're going to want to be buying greener product, regardless of what we think now.
It is true. Good point.
It is very, very
We're going to be gas or petrol in the future, and nobody's going to want us.
Yeah, that's okay. They can leave me in the ground. All right, my turn.
All right, so we
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Kim. Let's go. What are we going to talk about?
Oh my goodness, I have several things.
Please, not AI.
No, I'm not going to talk about AI. I am going to talk about the user interface. And one of the most favorite things that I'm happy about, I hide the fact boxes on the right-hand side on every screen. That little circle with the eye in it, I click it and turn it off.
Good for you.
It's got good information in it, but it takes up too much of the screen. So in the new version, you have the ability to make it smaller.
Wait a minute. You can still have it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it will be smaller. I think maybe you can take half the size away, but I did it the other day and it was, it was an inch and I don't know. I'm not good
measurements.
Spatial things. Yes. Yeah. Not good with that. So anyway, it definitely gave me more of my screen real estate back, but yet I still had the fact box there. So I was really excited about that. And by the way, thinking of Continia, they applied that same functionality to their screens, which is really great. So that was one thing I was real happy about. There are some great reporting changes. So financial reports are getting some love and attention, which they haven't had for 20 years. We are now going to be able to put an internal note that says what this report's about, and maybe the person that gets it once a quarter or every month type thing. So just an internal note, not just a description, but you can write a little bit more text. And then for reports that you're distributing to partners or owners or the bank, you can do header and footer paragraphs, right? More information, like a real formal financial statement, which, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, surprised you, right? The other thing we can do is, in the past, we could only have a minus sign in front of an amount. Now you can choose to put parentheses. So it just is a little bit more formal look again. And then you also, you know how you can export your report to Excel in a template, and you can format the template, and then you can just update that template every month. Well, now you just save the template name in the report. So you don't have to remember what drive it's
phenomenal.
on. Phenomenal.
I hate that. I always lose my report.
I know. I do too.
I'm like, I thought I updated this.
Wait. Exactly. Now, I haven't tried this, but I saw it with my own eyes, and they took a template and they sent a report to it, say the balance sheet, and then they sent an income statement to it, went on another tab. Then they sent a cash flow and it went on another tab. I don't know how to do it, but it's doable.
No, but I can't tell you how many times I've lost a report because of that. Oh my God.
If you think about that, I mean, just think about the fact that, like you said earlier, like some love for this, double decades later, the ability to just basically have one single spreadsheet now that has balance sheet, income statement, statement of cash flow, 1, 2, 3, done. Here it is, update it, press button, update please, and it's like boom, and it's like right now it's one for one. It's like run this, export this.
And then if you want a workbook, you've got to copy it all out, put it on a sheet, run another, copy it all out, put it on another sheet to get your workbook.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think this is amazing. Those are the main things. I mean, I think there's a few other things in the financial reporting side. Much more work has gone into what they call the preview reports. You'll see that word in parentheses by reports, which really means they're not printable. They're going to go to Excel, right? And so they go to Excel. You have some slicers and things that come with it. So you've got dimensional reporting that you can do there. There's typically multiple tabs at the bottom. So you're not getting just an aged accounts receivable report. You're also getting the foreign currency equivalents for some of it and other things like that. The one note there that I ran, and I'm going to say this every time I talk about these, I ran those things and it was just blank every time I ran them. Then I got to noticing in the top right, the year said 1900. Yeah. Now I know I'm old, but I'm not that old. And,
Rob, do you want to you want us to talk about that while you're taking? No, okay.
No,
no, just cut that part. Anyway, No comments.
I did say dinosaurs earlier.
You did. We are. Yes, we are. So I found out that if there's an enable editing at the top, so if you click that, all of a sudden you're in the right year, but everything was still blank. So then I noticed there's another little yellow box up there. It says enable content. So you click that, and then here comes your data. But you have to do that every time. I really wish they'd fix that, where you didn't have to do those, or there's some setting in Excel you could do. But those are amazing. If you take that and, okay, I am going to use Copilot here. I didn't say that other two-letter word. But there is a Copilot piece for Excel. And if you ask it to find the outliers, let's say in your receivables, I mean, it can chart that stuff. I'm not good at that, but if you really want to do some analysis, oh my gosh, that Copilot can really go out and look at things that you and I we might see visually and we might not, because it could look at, different data. So those are the big ones. I think reporting is really improved upon. They went from 74 Power BI reports to over 100, which is pretty cool. I'm not seeing an uptake on the Power BI reports like I thought I would. I think everybody sees them as great, but they just can't get to them.
Or they don't have the licenses right now, because you still need a license for that. You
do. Not everybody in your database needs a license, but certain people need a license. It's not too awful there. I'm going to say I don't give Excel layouts enough love, but the things you can do, taking a report, sending it to Excel, and then playing with it and building pivots and charts, and then saving it back in BC as an option to run, that's pretty amazing.
So Kim, that is something that Kenny showed me when we were at Directions. And that's something I'm going to have in my, for those of you who are watching before we go to DynamicsCon, I am going to be talking about a couple of those preview reports. And I'm like Kim, I'm not that great about, saving the layout, but that is something I'm going to show you. And I know some of you gurus out there in Excel are going to go crazy over it, because I'm going to show you I can save it. I can make my changes. I can add my slicers, and I can rerun it again and again after I've made my save. So, Kim, that's a great feature. I love what they've done there.
It really is. I can actually provide reports now without coding, right, or having to go to a developer, just by taking a report that's close, adding something to it. For example, I do a financial statement where you have January, February, March, April, and you put those words on it, and maybe you're doing January this year versus last year, and you have to put January -1 or -1Y or some little. If you just set up another tab with the dates, now it will say January 25, January 24, and so you can make it pull data that you've defined in your spreadsheet and use it over and over. It's just another tab to get data from. So simple things that can really make some reports sing, if you will.
It's amazing that from the time they started thinking about, like you said, this Power BI, now that we have over 100 Power BI reports, the Excel is blowing my mind, only because I'm not an Excel guru, but I love doing Excel preview now, because I love seeing where it can go. And sorry, Rob, the Copilot thing on the Excel is wicked, because it basically allows me, when you're looking at it from from more of the inventory and the manufacturing and some of the other areas that we can do Excel in now, it's amazing asking it like, hey, Copilot, like, what item is like, why is this item there super old or some, and again, like I said, you can ask these outlier questions that basically come back with an answer, and it graphically, or it maybe in a chart, or maybe just in a typical Excel spreadsheet look, it can give me an answer back that allows me to kind of like rethink a spreadsheet I just literally started with. It was one thing, ends up becoming another thing. And it's just so wicked cool that these are the littlest, tiniest things that have taken this product to a whole nother level now. I mean, to the point where Business Central is like, in the past, what, decades now, we've all lived with, here's a new feature. Okay, great. But now it's more like, holy smokes, Excel, holy smokes, financial reporting, that's got love after how many decades? And now it's like, looking at it from the Power BI perspective. But I do agree. I think Power BI probably won't get all of its love until probably 2026, when people finally have the ability to, I think it's in the next release, where they can actually manipulate the report and actually go and resave it as their own, and then manipulate it their own ways. The current, the release that obviously originally came out, you weren't allowed to modify the core report, but now you can. It's coming out soon. So there's so much.
Also, Steve, I think as they start deprecating some of the reports, which that's the plan.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's not going to happen tomorrow, so don't anybody panic. And I think they're actually going to identify the ones that are going to be removed each release. They're going to put old or to be removed or something, right, in the description, kind of like they put preview in parentheses. So as those begin to go away, I think people are going to kind of have to gravitate to some more of the Power BI and the Excel layouts.
There's I believe it's 10 or 11, if my math serves me well. I could be off by one. But when I think of manufacturing and I think of supply chain, I'll just stick with manufacturing alone. But with all of these changes that have come out between Power BI and Excel now, the previews, they are deprecating almost 11 manufacturing reports. These are reports that we've all lived and breathed for multiple decades now. And that's a huge amount of reports that are going to be deprecated. You will see the warning message that says this is being deprecated. And I believe they're only giving you until the next wave before it's going to be, it'll just dissipate.
Oh, really? Like this fall?
Yeah, like take, for instance, rolled up cost shares. Very popular report in manufacturing, costing, single level cost shares. People that's all you live and breathe by. I mean, but because they changed the reporting, between Excel preview and then Power BI, there's no need for it anymore, because the report is so much better in Excel, so much more advanced. And like you said earlier, I mean, they took literally multiple ugly, I don't want to say ugly, maybe that's the wrong word, but multiple boring base reports that were preview and paper, right? They made it into the most slick way of looking at it in Excel now for manufacturing. Multiple tabs. We're talking tabular-driven reports that could have 6 or 7 tabs now in manufacturing. We've never had that before. We begged for that for years, and now you took a slew of reports and made it one singular report. It is so cool to now use that, and that's why you would deprecate all that stuff. I mean, capacity, that whole load and loading capacity, eliminated a slew of reports. One Excel report does it all now. So think about it.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing over here because we're all getting so excited about the things that are in the release. Can you imagine what we're going to say in October?
Hey, Steve, going back to obsolete reports for a minute, though, I got an email from one of my clients saying, hey, they're going to be removing the sales tax collector report. So I'm wondering how that's going to go.
They created a new Excel-based report, just like the previews, and it's going to be tabular driven, where you can actually do the sales tax, by the jurisdiction / area. So you'll actually get the breakdown in a tabular driven report in Excel versus having that ugly report we used to get in, on paper, as one would say.
Yeah.
I'm just sorry. I mean, I think all of us, because we've been around the product for way too many decades, but the advancement of what's available in reporting now, after they finally took that huge leap, with the Power BI leap and now the Excel-based leap, and they're not stopping. That's the funny part about this. Think about it. They're not stopping looking at every single module and report of the system to see what can be in Excel and what can we deprecate, because Excel is just going to give you that much more information. I mean, I guess it's almost endless to the point up until they have gone through every single report, I guess, and then they were done. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, totally fascinating here. Oh, Oh my God.
You know what? And I'm just going to tell you one other thing.
Yeah. Oh,
I wrote an article, should be published in the next week or so, but I found fields that I didn't know existed. Now I've
You
been
found
using
what?
fields. Now I'm just going to talk the customer ledger. This isn't new fields they just added, I don't think. And I was blown away by the features that are out there just on the customer side. There's some, I know there's some on the vendor side too. I just haven't investigated it yet. This product has, and what Steve was just saying, has blown up. And we've got sustainability in there now, right? There's cost accounting that I don't have anybody doing. There's cash flow forecasts. There's all these reporting changes that are going on. There's a lot out there. And Steve, you haven't even talked about your favorite subject, manufacturing.
Well, before you get there, Steve, she was talking about this stuff, the new fields and stuff. One of the things that was added just recently, and I think we all, underappreciate how much it is. It's the ability to add any field you want to any page.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was there. I couldn't get to that field. Now you can.
yeah. I am fascinated.
Without a developer.
Yes.
Without a developer.
Keyword,
Yeah.
without a developer. And let's take that one step further. Not only can I add it to a page, how about the fact that there's ways now that it will autofill the answers for you now? The ability to actually go out there and have the system almost as you're typing, it's going to auto fill in certain fields for you based on the ability of what you're doing or what you're accounting for. Like if you're going to do like a new customer card or something, it has the ability to know what you're doing because, and again, sorry, Rob, the smarts of AI have to be playing into this a little bit here, but the ability to fill things in for you automatically without having to, tab next one, it's sort of, it's filling everything.
Hey, Steve, we already have young people who can't write cursive. Now we're going to have people who can't type.
Or think. Or think.
We're beyond that.
Yeah. If I can't ask Siri, I don't know what to do.
So let's round out our conversation with some of the other cool Wave 1 features for 2025. I mean, let's talk a little about for the next 10 or so minutes, 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll kind of go back and talk about, what's happening going forward for the rest of the year into Wave 2. So under, obviously there's been some cool new features added to the system with regarding, obviously AI, and we'll skip that for now. Let's concentrate more about the functionality. So let's talk about projects. A project item is in the system. You now can receive them with receipts and putaways. Obviously, I can combine service shipments on a single service invoice. One invoice, gang. Single invoice for a service shipment. Amazing. We now can block items or variants from production output. That has never happened. Obviously, you couldn't block those at all. I can finally cancel a production order that has had consumption. That, that though there were manual ways around it, but think about it. Can actually singularly action cancel, boom, undo the production of the consumption. That was a beautiful feature. The reopening of a finished production order. Everybody knew that when the finished production order was moved to a finished status, you can never reopen it. Now we can reopen it to do some repairing and corrective actions. A better, greater accuracy and efficiency regarding the costing. The production costing has also been added into this system. So that was amazing. How about the word overpicking for a production order? How many people out there manufacture an item and maybe you pick a bunch of nuts and bolts and this and that, or maybe yards, or you have to do things in inches and polymer and all these things, and you're going to overpick. It's inevitable. You're grabbing a handful, or you're doing something, you're scooping, or whatever it is, and your accuracy, it may not be perfect, but you're allowed to overpick now for a production order. Before it had to be the number. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, in terms of that. Obviously, the ability to handle production output with warehouse putaways now finally has come about. That wasn't available. We can finally print barcodes from our production orders. Everybody out here is saying, Steve, you moron. that could be done before. Yeah, well, if I wrote an extension or put the barcode on the system, but now it's built in, obviously, as part of the features inside of Business Central Wave 1. Obviously, how about attaching a document to a manufacturing production order? How many people want the ability to see a drawing, or maybe there's a quality document you need attached to that? It's there for you now, out of the box. Obviously, edit in Excel. A lot of people love edit in Excel. There are people who are also not a fan of it. I get it, but the fact that you can edit Excel with output consumption journals and item journals, that finally has been added. The rescheduling of production orders within a safety lead time, you can actually do that. Finally, that came about. The actual naming convention of subscription billing has been reworded so that it truly is a concept of called subscription billing. So it's all about the subscription contract, the subscription billing. The verbiage or the naming convention was a little weird on the first round last fall when we got our 2024 Wave 2, but now it's following a good schema for naming conventions with demo data, with proper, obviously the ability to look at things. You can actually see the cost, the unit cost on a subscription line, which was a blessing in disguise for those people who need to see revenue and cost. Obviously, aligning the whole concept of subscription billing based on the people who are in that industry for a better user experience and whatnot. Now, Rob talked about sustainability and stuff like that, but another big feature, obviously, is you can finally preview PDF attachments in the web client. That has never been done before, but obviously they added the ability to preview all the PDFs now directly in the web client, which is a beautiful, beautiful feature for all of us. Has been clamoring and screaming for that feature for a long time, since PDF is a much more a better approach for when sending documents and sending information around and stuff like that. Another cool feature, again, that you probably don't notice it, you can actually check the total purchase amounts on documents now in financial management. That was additional add because obviously you couldn't get the totals and stuff like that. Again, small things. Yeah. One thing, I'm sorry, Rob, I've got to talk about my friend, my AI friends, my co-pilot, my service agent friends, but the whole now the sales agent and the purchasing agent, the agents, I'm sorry, I'm going to be their number one cheerleader. I'm in love with the agents, and I hope that they'll get better and better over time, and they'll address more and more functionality that is proper to be addressed. But these agents are doing things that we all have grown in our jobs. We all have mundane things. We all have, stuff we don't really love to do, but these agents are doing those jobs for us. And the sales order agent is a phenomenal thing. It'll take care of a lot of the sales order processing that goes on with that. But the purchasing agent, the whole notion of, first, I have a document. I can bring my e-document in. It OCR scans it. It can come up with how am I going to post it, what kind of document, and how am I going to obviously process that document. And it's going to get better. It's only at the infancy right now. But then that purchasing agent, it says it's going to figure out, oh my God, maybe down the road it'll be, am I a 1099 or maybe I'm not? Or, three-way match. I got to match it up to my purchase order. Again, it's not there, but we're just at the beginning stages of the purchasing agent. And it's endless right now of what it can possibly do for us.
I think it's gonna grow into something we really like. Take out the repetitive work so that we can have people spend a little bit more time on analyzing what came in, double checking. Right now, we work our fingers to the bone just getting the data, in the system and done, right? So I can try to close a month quickly.
Steve, that agent thing. Yeah, I agree with you, Kim. Especially the purchasing agent one, because that's where a lot of paperwork happens. It might be on the receiving side, maybe not the invoicing side. But now, if that's automatic, I'll agree with it. The purchasing agent is going to save time and give people the ability, like you said, Kim, to go back and look at over receipts. Did it really happen? Oh, wait a minute. How come I'm only getting invoiced? And I'm cleaning up with somebody right now. They had over 200 open purchase orders from 8 years ago. We're talking like 2017.
Oh my God.
And because they had so much turnover, they just let it out there. And of course, they took it. I'm sure they took it.
They don't know what it's doing to them, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, if you think about it, I think the fun about the sales order agent, I'm a fan of it. I know what it's supposed to do, but maybe my love is more on the accounting side, which is purchasing accounts payable, right? So my love is in the purchasing agent for now. So if you think about everything that, and nothing against our ISVs who basically do this AP automation, but if the product really is taking an agent and becoming an AP automation tool set for which it will bring a document in, whether it be a general invoice, lights and phone bills, or maybe it brings in a PO from an inventory item. Maybe it figures out how to do charge item, a freight bill, where it can effectively understand charge item in its mind. How about I bring in a laptop? Oh, I see the word laptop. It's a fixed asset. Did you create your fixed asset card? This needs workflow approval. Oh, wait a minute. Think about all the little minutia things that happen manually today. And then what if it finally went full circle? It brought everything in and you said to the agent, please pay every bill that's due through next Friday. Just type it in. Please pay every bill, agent, through next Friday. Payment journal. It'll get all, and please do not repeat that. I know you're going to laugh and repeat it. But yeah. So what if it does that? What about 1099s at the end of the year? You just tell the agent, it's 1099 time. Please process the new 1099 functionality I didn't even mention.
I don't think we have to get lazy about everything.
Come on. It'll give us more time to
drink beer.
Okay. Margaritas, but okay.
To watch F1, to watch football, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever it is. And, I don't know, smell the roses. Let me put it like that. So
It's true. It's true.
But last comment, 1099, because I know the three of us love this one. The new 1099 feature is out because obviously the IRS made a huge change that affects everybody in Business Central. And for those listening to us, please, please, please do not wait until January 2026 to do this. If you are having a hard time, if you don't know anything about it, if you don't know anything about what just happened for 1099 changes, reach out to the BC3 Amigos. Reach out to one of us. We are here to help you. We've written, there have been articles and blogs put out there on this. There have been videos on this. And hopefully there'll be sessions on this at the upcoming conferences. But please don't wait until the last minute. There's work for you to be done inside of Business Central, and then you'll be totally prepared for 2026.
Well, and the reason we don't want you to wait is because if you find something wrong, really, truly wrong with what we're doing in the product to meet the new requirements, we have time to fix it. If you wait till October or November or even December, there's no time in there. We've got to have the time to really isolate the problem and get developers on it to fix it. So there's been a lot of testing gone on. It's not like it hasn't been run through the mill, but every company does things a little different. And so the more people who work on it and get it ready, the better off we'll all be at the end. We won't be going crazy come January.
And one thing to note, there is one final change coming in Wave 2. Hopefully that's the final update for the true IRS, update to upload the file to the IRS, that they're making some final security changes right now. And there should be new documentation online for 1099. So please, hopefully that'll be in Wave 2 coming out, obviously November timeframe. So look for that. I know we're getting to the end of our time here, but the three of us always love doing this each and every time we speak. We always love to talk about what's coming up, what's new, what's around the corner. I think you two need to really talk about, what's happening, in the Houston area, since it's Texas. What's coming up in June in Houston? What's happening then?
So we are going to reenact or hopefully kick off the start of the new local chapters. Before COVID, we had local chapter meetings throughout the country. They were typically held every quarter. and Houston is going to be the start of the new chapters. So June 24th, that's a Tuesday, and we have a great lineup for y'all. If you're in the Houston area and you're watching this video, come on down. If you're outside the Houston area, take a flight. Make sure you track your carbon footprint and come on down.
And it's not an all day deal, right? It's like it used to be about mid morning, lunch, a little bit after that.
Absolutely. We're going to, one of the best parts about this, while there is some educational sessions and there is a little promotion for the sponsor for this, the best part about it was always after the sessions were over, we sat around and, talked about our own problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Solve problems for sure.
That's amazing. Kim, what's coming up, I guess, in May? I mean, there's obviously something happening in May, so why don't we talk about that?
Well, that's not in Texas, though. No. I don't want to talk about it if it's not in Texas. No. Dynamics Con in Chicago. I've had several people talk to me about, hey, I'll see you in Chicago in May. So Dynamics Con, which used to be called Dynamics Con Live, now they've dropped the live. So
it's not live anymore?
No, they're not calling it live. I guess we're all dead. We are dinosaurs. Anyway, what's the dates on that? Like the 12th, 13th, something 16, like that?
13 through 16.
So if you want to go, get registered now, right? But so it's going to have a lot of BC sessions for Power Platform and et cetera. So definitely should make plans to get to that.
Yeah, and you'll see the BC3 Amigos. We're speaking in several throughout it, and we'll be there and catch up with us, get a drink, chat about BC, or just have some fun talking about the weather, I guess. Or please, no more dinosaur conversations. We're not all that dead yet.
Hey, Steve, we've got a couple more things there. I just want to remind our people from out of town that April 29th, there's a DCI Roadshow in Toronto. May 1st has the Minneapolis Roadshow. June 10th has the Columbus Roadshow. June 24th, there will be another event. That's the Chicago Roadshow. And on June 26th, we'll have Philly.
And we'll see a couple of us at each one of those events. I think some of us are traveling to those events as well. A couple of other just final notes before we kind of say goodbye and wrap it up here. There is a couple of Doug meetups happening in Houston, I guess, for Power Platform and GP and Power Platform in Lenexa, Kansas on 4/30. There's a lot of regional events happening. There's a June regional event up in Toronto, Canada. There's another Ohio Valley regional event in Dublin, Ohio in August. Rocky Mountain event in Denver, Colorado in August. A Texas regional event, Dynamics Con regional event in September 17th, where you'll see all of us again back in Texas, this time Dallas, Texas.
Y'all come on down.
Come on down now here. And
now, did you hear he said it was Dallas?
Dallas.
He did.
And in Dallas?
Our Texas regional event is in Dallas, Texas, it says here.
I thought it was in Fort Worth or Grapevine.
It's in Grapevine.
Grapevine. Oh, Grapevine.
Grapevine. Here's also something, Steve, not in person, but we have our national event every month, right, where we do talk about all the things coming up, and we do have 2 educational pieces to it, and it's online, it's free. Everybody should mark their calendars for that. You can find those on the Dynamics community site to get dates, or if you want the dates and can't find them, let us know.
Yeah, and always check the BC3 Amigos LinkedIn site. We always try to put out monthly the dates ahead of time. We just submitted the next couple of months. It's on the LinkedIn site right now. So you'll see the next through July, those dates and times. Always visit the websites because I don't put all the URLs out there. So please visit the websites, Dynamics Communities, to get to register and at least get the links, as well as Doug, all the Doug events. Please visit Doug to get all the Doug links to register for those events, meetups, and virtuals. And don't forget about our Ask the Experts webinars. We do them monthly. We do it by topic. We've got a ton of topics coming out these next 4 months before, obviously, the summer hits us hard. But please, those are great. It's ask your questions, stump the expert, And our fearless, leader, our fearless ex-evangelist in sustainability will have his one tomorrow on reporting in Business Central. So please join us, join us this week on April 24th to stump that expert right there, Mr. Del Prado, and bring your evangelist sustainability questions on reporting, or just talk about anything Texas. It really doesn't matter.
I have one more thing. We've been we have the BC3 Amigos LinkedIn site, and we've been posting articles or little snippets. If there's any question you want to ask, you can just ask a question there, or say, hey Amigos, publish something on this topic. But hopefully we're putting out some things there 2 or 3, 4 times a week. We try to do it every day, but it's hard. But anyway, just wanted to remind y'all that there's some additional information coming out there.
Well, gang, I think we've hit, we've done a great, podcast today, and some really great information for our users and our subscribers and our listeners. All I could say is it's been a great, I cannot believe it's May, 1 week away from May. This is ridiculous. This year is moving super fast, and we will be in Chicago. The BC3 Amigos will be in Chicago. Hopefully, if we plan it well, we might even do a podcast in one of the rooms like we've done years before. We can borrow a room and do a podcast from a conference, remotely. We'll try to plan this accordingly. We'll try to do it there. But other than that, I think that's it for our April session here, and teaching everybody some new things about Wave 1 and what's the future holding for us, and where they can find us, and all the conferences and meetups and chapter meetings and national events that are happening over the next several months. So I don't know, anything else? I mean, I think that's everything, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we covered a lot today, folks.
Adios, amigos.
See you later.